You want to test the value contained in a variable or produced by a command against a list of known values and then take action based on which value it had, the case command is a good choice. With the case command, we specify case, then the thing we wish to test, usually the content of a variable, but it could be a command to execute that produces a string. Then the keyword in, followed by one or more patterns to test against. If a pattern matches the value inside the variable or being tested, then the list of commands associated with that pattern is executed until we encounter the double semicolon. If none of the patterns listed match, the special pattern asterisk or star can be used to mean didn't match any other patterns, match anything. In other words, a default list of commands to run. The case command is terminated with the word case backwards, ESAC. And it's not required to have a match. It's entirely possible to have a pattern that doesn't match what's in the variable and that does not cause a failure. Let's try this. We'll go ahead and create a small script for this. Where we ask the user to enter a color, and we check to see if they gave us one of the colors we were expecting. Note that you could, of course, do this with an if, then, else if, another thing, then, else if, another thing, then. This is just another way of specifying it that can be much cleaner to read and maintain. This is a bash script. We need our hash bang bin bash. We'll start by getting a color from the user. We'll give them a prompt. And we'll save their answer in a variable named color. We'll put the case command. We'll tell it to test whatever was in the color variable. We'll put it inside quotes in case the user simply pressed enter so that we don't have an error on our line. Then the keyword in. And now we can put our first pattern to check against. So the first color they might have entered might have been red. So we put our string, we put a closing parenthesis that tells it it's the end of the pattern match. And if it matches this pattern, the command to run, or command list, will be here. We'll simply tell them we recognize that they said red. We have no other commands to run for red, so we put a double semicolon to say we should end the case statement if they entered red and we've run our commands. Next, we'll check for another color. If they gave us that one, we'll let them know. And that will be all we'll do with that one. We'll put the special pattern asterisk for our default to say it didn't match any pattern already presented. And for that one, we'll tell them we don't understand what they gave us. And we'll end the list of commands to be run for the default. Our case command is done for now. And we'll let them know that they've reached the end of the script. And that's all we need for now. So we're going to ask them for a color. We're going to compare it to a couple of known patterns and let them know if we matched. And if not, we'll let them know they didn't match anything we were looking for. Let's save this and run it. We'll try giving one of the colors we were expecting. It matched. The echo command for you chose red ran, and we dropped down to the end of the case where it continued with the script and told us the script is now done. We try this again with another color that we were expecting, and of course it matches. And if we were to try this with something else we weren't expecting, it's going to let us know. One of the things that you can do with your pattern is you can put multiple patterns so that if it matches any of the patterns, then the list will get executed. We do this by putting the pipe symbol between the patterns to be tested. Let's modify our script for that. So we're going to be adding a new pattern in here. And we'll say if they gave us red or they gave us yellow, we'll match and execute these commands. We don't know which pattern it matched. We simply know it matched one. If we wanted to, we could be more sophisticated in here and use an if statement or even another case statement to say which one they chose. The order in which you specify the patterns does not matter when we give the case command this way. There are options in how you give the case command to tell it that even if it has matched something, continue to do the other tests as well. You don't have to have it finish on the first test that matches. If you do this, be careful, the default test will always match. That may not be what you wanted. Let's try this with the extra pattern. If we say red, you'll notice it only says we chose red, in spite of the fact that we put a match for red or yellow. That's because the first one it matched was the one for just red. It matched that, hit the double semicolon, and jumped to the end. When we choose another one of the matching patterns from that set, it will find that test. Needless to say, having red appear in more than one test is pointless when we write it this way. We would have to tell it after testing red to continue doing the other tests. The way you do that is by putting an ampersand after the double semicolon. Let's try putting that in. So after doing the test for red, we want to tell it, test against all the other patterns as well. So we've added the ampersand after the double semicolon, only for the red test. If it matches the red test, it'll say you chose red. Continue to do the other tests and match the further test with the red in it, which does not have an ampersand, and we'll stop the testing, which is what we would want. We would not want it to fall through to the default test and match if we gave it red. This can get confusing if you have a complex case statement with a default condition. Let's rerun this with our red and see if it matches both tests. And of course it does. The case command is very often used when processing command line arguments.